Hey, good morning, everyone. This is the Homes and Money Realtor Mastermind, and we are in the 30th edition of this, which is awesome to me. And I just took like 5 weeks off, and we're still at number 30. So I had a lot of travel and just wanted to recharge. And kind of a cool story. Our guest today is Beth Brown Ciul, and I met her in person at a Real Producers event a year or two ago, maybe, and recently saw her at the Real Producers panel, and just through some small talk, talked about the mastermind. And of course, my next question was, would you be a guest? And she said, absolutely, I'd love to. So excited about this because I have not had a lot of time to spend with Beth, and I've heard a lot of great things about her. At that panel of real estate agents, she had a lot of fantastic information that she gave. And so I think this is going to be great. And whether you join us live or you are going to listen online, I think you're going to get a lot of great content today. So Beth, thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Good. All right. So some of the normal questions that I ask, and again, this is great for me because I don't know these answers, but have you been in Cincinnati area your entire life?
So I was born and raised in Xenia, Ohio, and then moved to Cincinnati after grad school in '94.
Okay. And jump right into real estate or something else
No,
first?
so I have a graduate degree in litigation. And so I worked for a law firm for several years and then honestly got sick of attorneys. And so I started doing HR in the IT industry. And in 2002, when I had my daughter, while I was on maternity leave, I took the 6 weekends and went and got my real estate license.
And so where did you start in real estate?
So I started out at Coldwell Banker.
Okay.
And was there for a few years. And then ultimately the most time I spent was at Comey and Shepherd. And then had the opportunity to become an expansion team leader for a large expansion team out of Cleveland with Keller Williams. So I spent 5 years leading and growing that team. And in April of 2022, decided that they had done a fantastic job teaching me how to run a team. And so I broke off and started my own team at EXP.
Okay. And what's the team look like today? How many people and roles?
So we have a total of 10 agents and a full-time operations director. And all of my agents can do listings and sales. There's no buyer's agent. There's no listing agent. They are a group of agents that I just mentor and help. And, we all work together.
Great. How has the recruiting piece of that been? And are you constantly recruiting, or did it come through attraction?
Some attraction. A lot of it is people that I had mentored, or I used to teach at Hondros. So I got to know a lot of people at Hondros. So that was part of the attraction. Training and mentoring is probably my passion more so than anything else. And so it just comes to me when people come across, hey, I'm looking for a team, and they're looking for a team that has a unique structure and is allowed to be a full service agent. They send them to me. Or if I run across people out in the market that need that extra help, I'm here to help them.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today, because I was really impressed. I am a reader. I'm a consumer of information. I love to be a sponge. And when we did the panel, you talked a lot about podcasts that you were listening to. You talked about just the books that you read, and I thought that it was just a lot of great content. So with all of that, and the motivation and nurturing and mentoring that you do, how do you speak that into your daily practice with the 10 agents that you have?
I do a lot, like I started in my office a little library of books that after I've read them, I put them on the shelf and encourage everybody to read them. I do, for especially new agents, I do a roadmap to success, and it's a 30, 60, 90 day. And on that, each month, I have a book that I want them to pick up and read. So that's part of their roadmap. And, they'll ask me questions and I'll say, well, what did you think of that? Where'd you get that idea? And, the first ones I have them read are Profit First, especially for new agents. The biggest downfall to an agent is not knowing how to manage their money, because it's 1099 and you're chasing that next paycheck. And when you do that, your clients, are disserviced by it. And so Profit First is something that I live by, and it's changed my financial outlook. And so I always try to start them out with that. The other one that I always is the Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. That's probably my all-time favorite book that I've ever read. Just talking about how to service the client, because especially in this industry, and gosh, right now it's even more so with our current situation with the MLS, it's all about making that consumer or the customer know that even though we are facing a challenge, we're still out there working for them and going above and beyond and being unreasonable in our hospitality to get them what they need.
Yeah, that's one of the books that you mentioned at the panel, and I wrote it down. I was actually in the middle of reading Building a Story Brand. I don't know if you've read this, but this book is kind of consuming my thoughts and restructuring of websites and everything else right now. So yeah, like I said, I'm a huge sponge. Profit First is fantastic. I think, I am a lender. I work with real estate agents all the time. And I think if we go back several years, one of the biggest strains in both the real estate and finance profession is that neither of those professionals really manage their money correctly.
Right.
And when you think about the relationship strain in a process, oftentimes it had to do with commission money that was already spent.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so people were unrealistic with each other and threats and everything else. And it just made things a lot more difficult. And so I love the fact that you teach that book first. So.
Absolutely. That's one of the first things I do. And I have the spreadsheet, all set up for them, ready to go, and they can get started on the right foot.
Nice. So then with the 30, 60 day roadmap to success, is that something that you created, or is that something you've kind of developed over the time?
It's an R&D, a rip off and duplicate. Keller Williams is big on the, the basic of that 30, 60, 90, and you customize it to your team.
Yeah. How does the mentorship work ongoing with kind of keeping office morale? Obviously, one of the big topics I want to talk to you about is the current state of our industry right now.
Right.
But how does the 30, 60, 90 and the ongoing mentorship happen with keeping your morale up in the office and your teammates?
Well, I'm really big on, I guess, sayings. And so around our office, we have all of our offices full of posters that I had created that are all positive mindset. Like one of mine, and anybody that out there that follows Jeff Glover is going to know this one. At the very front of my office, I have a sign that says "Flip the switch at the door." Talking about when you walk into the office, whatever's going on the outside world doesn't come in here. and it's positive. And I have a lot of great people on my team, a lot of positive people on my team. And that's what I look for when I'm looking for an agent. You know, being in this industry as long as I have been, you know, when the '08 crash happened and all of that, you saw a lot of agents walking around the office saying, you know, the sky is falling, the sky is falling, you know, but I look at it like one of my change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. You know, that's one of the posters. And so try to keep it like, yes, you know, things are challenging right now with the, you know, MLS and the inventory. It's kind of like that perfect storm, but buyers and sellers are still buying and selling houses. And you just have to have that when you're talking to people and talking to other agents, just have that positive outlook. Like, yep, this is, you know, this stinks, but we still need to make money, and we, you know, still need to service our clients. So can we do that? And that's what we really talk about around here, is the positivity. And I mentor my agents, and they know they have an open door policy with me. They can come in and talk to me at any time. I just did a forms class with them, you know, so that they knew all the different forms in the MLS. We go over contracts, you know, frequently, and I'm just there for them. If they need me at 10 o'clock at night, they know they can call me.
Great. Yeah. You know, I've the mindset and the attitude is significant. I've answered this a lot of times recently, in that in my 20 plus years, I think this is the fourth time that I've sold rates over 7%. Okay.
Right.
But it's the first time that I've sold rates over 7% with zero inventory, and after we had 2.5% interest rates. So it's unique, right?
Yeah.
But when you look at the current situation and say, well, the rates are this, it's not that much different than 2017 or 2012 or, you know, 2006, right? So you adapt and survive and change your mindset. I think another thing that you said at that panel that really stood out to me was the way that we use our words and our language has everything to do with how our teammates have their outlook on things, and our clients. So
right, absolutely. I mean, if you go to the client and say, oh yeah, your interest rate, you know, you're feeding into what the media is telling them already. So if you go to them and you present it in a manner that, you know what, inventory is low, everybody, these prices aren't going to quit going up. So find the house you love now and then refinance it later. I mean, it's easy to refinance later, but you're only going to find your dream home at a certain price point right now. I mean, they're just going to keep going up.
sure.
Unless something drastically changes.
Right. All right. So the elephant in the room is the MLS. And when you and I scheduled this date today, we had no idea this was going to be a topic. And I even thought about it a couple of days ago. I thought, wow, what a perfect topic to have here. So I'm going to assume that this has never happened to you before.
Never.
Okay.
Never. I mean, I think in the last 22 years, I've been on the MLS every single day without fail. So it's kind of, you know, even when I got into the MLS, into real estate, we had the MLS. So I hadn't gone to the, you know, the cards and all the, you know, the paper stuff. So this is new to me too.
And I'm going to assume that this wasn't something that you taught at Hondros.
Nope.
And it's probably not in your 30, 60, 90 roadmap to success. So what do you believe people should be doing? Because it doesn't appear that there's an end in sight. And honestly, I don't necessarily know that the ransom should be paid, right? So what are you seeing? What are you telling people to do? What's the best course of action?
You know, there's a ton of the Facebook sites. Obviously, social media is becoming, believe it or not, if you could ever imagine, even more important in our business. But also shifting, if you're a member of the Dayton MLS, we've just started putting all of our listings in the Dayton MLS to make sure they're syndicating and still getting out there. And I think the agents are catching on that they can go in Dayton and see the Cincinnati listings right now. So I'm getting showings through those, but also, kind of it forces you a little bit to go back to the basics. And in the climate that we've been in, it's been very contentious. Like people were getting really upset with each other. And if there's a silver lining to this, is now we're all in the exact same boat and everybody's still trying to service their clients. I think people have been a little nicer over the last week. I mean, I know that sounds funny, but it's more of a collaborative effort now than it was before. And like I said, if you could find a silver lining, I'd have to say that maybe this will, give everybody a little bit of the reset that we all need.
When you say that things were contentious, do you think that people didn't want other agents to know about their listings, or what do you mean by the contentious piece?
I think people just got it with all the multiple offers, and an agent that's running buyers writing 5 and 6 contracts for a client. The clients are getting, angry and upset, and then that makes the agent stress out. And then you get to inspections, and what you're finding is, people are writing in that they're not going to ask for anything on inspections, but then they do. And so there's just been a lot of it's been hard. And I think now we have to collaborate to continue earning our living and servicing our clients. We have to be nice we have to collaborate. We have to want to get these listings out there. And I've said it all along, yes, there's a listing agent, there's a buyer's agent, but at the end of the day, we're all on the same team. We want the same result. So let's work together to do that. And I think this is kind of with the agents I've spoken with since this has happened, it's been a much smoother, more relaxed conversation.
Yeah, help me understand. And I think there's other people that may be newer to the industry, newer agents that'll listen to this. When brokerages have their own websites, okay, and search engines, if you will, for real estate, how much different is that than what the actual MLS is? So if I go to Remax or Comey or SipsyKlein.com and search for properties, how much different is that than the MLS actually being down?
Well, until recently, there's been a brokerage that's kind of broken off from the syndication. But right now, most of the brokerages syndicate right from the Cincinnati MLS or the Dayton MLS or whatever MLS their brokerage is associated with. So when you go and you search, you're seeing the same houses on all the different websites. It comes down to that point. How often do they syndicate? When do they update? That type of thing. But most of the brokerages are pretty good, about getting everybody's listings out there. And you'll see if it's their listing, it'll say their listing. Otherwise, I'll say broker reciprocity. There's some brokerages out there that don't syndicate others' listings now, but that's newer to us. And I don't think we've really seen it here yet. But in Northeast Ohio, it's happening. So I think, pretty much all the websites are going to give you all the listings. And the reality is, as much as we hate it, you have to understand it, is people are going to Zillow, Trulia, and Realtor.com first anyway. I mean, we're never going to beat that syndication or that website unless the MLS has just quit syndicating to it.
Sure. It was mentioned in the Real Producers panel when we talked about mindset and kind of keeping your mind from feeling defeat and being down. I don't remember if it was Eric or Danny Barron or somebody. They said they stopped following agents on Facebook because they didn't want to see that they'd lost listings. And I think that's very ironic with that being 3 to 4 weeks ago, that now we need that so much, right? Just to know what product's out there.
Right. We have to, you can't unfriend them now because you need to know what they've got. And, I think with most of the brokerages, and I can only speak to mine, but they've done a really good job pivoting really quickly. and adapting. And so I think, and so hasn't the MLS and the board collaborating together to see how we can get these listings out there and keep them going and keep people, working. And I think that collaboration, it's a mindset, you've got to be out there. You've got to be on those, instead of MLS now every day, we're on Facebook all day looking for listings to show our buyers.
Sure. Do you think that this will slow down our market just a tad? I mean, and the only reason I say this, I mentioned to you earlier that I was sitting in a gymnasium next to an agent that we both know. Our sons were playing basketball, and I mentioned that there was a new listing in my neighborhood that I thought would sell really, really fast, and that I'd see a pending sign the next day. The reality is it probably never came out of coming soon in the MLS. And so here it is, 5, 6, 7 days later, and there's no pending sign yet. Is that the slowdown we're going to see?
This can't do anything but slow that down because it's harder to find these listings. They're not syndicating. I have one right now that's pending in the Cincinnati MLS. It was supposed to close Monday and it went down. Now I can't get it out of pending status in the Cincinnati MLS. So we put it as active in Dayton and, put notes that it's active. You send it out there and put active, and, luckily showing time helps too, because if you have a situation like that, the coming soons and the new listings don't have this, ability. Although I think they are working on that with showing time. I can go in and email everybody saying, hey, this is back on the market. So it's just finding new ways to promote your clients' listings that we haven't had to do before.
Yeah.
And I do think it's going to slow down until everybody finds a system to get their listings in so they syndicate so that people see them.
Okay. So awkward question here. Is there an, whether it's written or unwritten etiquette that agents are or aren't allowed to do in terms of getting their listings out? And I guess me not being an agent and not having had your class at Hondros, my thought would be, okay, Robert, you have a new listing coming out on Friday. I'm going to blast email like 5,000 agents in Cincinnati with my new listing.
So in the past, that has been frowned upon. And there are strict rules that the MLS you have to follow with your listings. But right now they're waiving all that. It's kind of a wild west of however you need to get your listing out there. If it's coming soon, go ahead and advertise it. If it's active, advertise it. We're getting this little grace period, which is going to be interesting when this gets resolved. Now we've been given a little bit of rope. Bringing us back in is going to be a little harder, I think.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. But yeah, what a crazy time for this. And I mean, who knew that Rapatoni was such a, highly sought after hacker?
Yeah, we were in Columbus on Friday, and some of my family, we were talking about that. Like, who would have thought that they were going to take a multiple listing service? Like, how valuable really is that, other than being a huge market disruptor?
Sure. And just there's domino effects to this. I've heard that some appraisers are saying that they can't complete their reports because of MLS being down. I will tell you, from the lending side, that's them being lazy, because there's RPR and there's other places that they could go to get their information, and it's on all of us just to push back on that. Okay. Anybody have a question for Beth?
Everybody's browsing Facebook trying to find listings.
I apologize for being late, Beth. I wanted to jump on right away. So did you guys really touch base on all the hacking and everything? Because I can just steer away from that.
Well, we did. But I think, I had some questions on it. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong if you've got a question that ends up being a repeat, but go ahead.
Yeah, so it was mostly, I was talking to a home inspector this morning, and I think like the biggest disruptor with it is the fact that people have to work a little harder, just like how you just said that, Robert. Like getting your listing out there and promoting it, and all of that stuff. So, how have you seen the process over the last week change as far as the time that it takes for one listing or something like that?
Oh, it's definitely affecting the time on the market because, the first 2 days, we didn't really think anything. I mean, we were upset and concerned, but we had no idea of the size of this challenge or what it was going to be. So then
Yeah.
it became everybody started jumping in on Facebook groups and things like that to try to continue. So, and most of the Facebook groups being created are agent only Facebook groups. So we don't really have a
Right.
public facing, here's listings. So the only way to do that then is to get on another MLS and promote the listing. The one that makes the most sense is Dayton. There's a lot of crossover there anyway. But yeah, it's going to slow it down. You'd be silly to think that it's not.
Yeah.
And you are, I'm
Is
telling
there
my
like
agents, I'm telling my agents to get back to the basics. If you have a listing or if you see a listing out there, go back old school, go door knock the neighborhood, because if there's, people might not have seen it up unless they drove past the sign, or, go promote the listing in the neighborhood, because everybody has friends or family that may be looking to move, in or out. And so
Sure.
you just got to get back to the basics. And nobody
Yeah.
in this day and age, no one wants to, they want everything to be done from this computer and the screen, and you forget about the importance of going out and doing what the basic grassroots of selling real estate. It's not easy, and it's really not easy now.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think traditional real estate agents are impacted, but are impacted the least, and that's why the relationships matter. Whereas you see like a Redfin or something like that, they're completely sidelined, So I don't know, it's just wild.
In down times, the people that get out there and get after it gain market share. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the reality, is understand and having that mindset. This guy's not falling. We're going to get through this. Real estate's going to continue to sell. But the people that are out there still working, instead of taking this as a vacation because, oh my gosh, I can't get on the MLS, they're the ones that are losing out. The people that have the good mindset and are out there doing the things that they should be doing, even if we have the MLS, are getting
Right.
market share. I mean, my operations director, hands me every Friday a stack of 20 market analysis reports that I go out and deliver, knock on doors and deliver. And on my Saturday, once I get in the car, I do not go home or do anything else other than deliver those market analysis reports. And it's working. But whether I have the MLS or not, I should be doing that anyway.
Right. Have you seen the time to be able to work on back end admin stuff as well and shore up some of the loose ends that you may have within your specific business?
Oh, absolutely. I've caught up on a lot of paperwork, a lot of things that I should be doing, creating more processes on the back end of once we close. Definitely, spending a lot of time on thinking about what I want next for this team. So yeah, that's given me some time to do that, but I'm also not taking my foot off the gas of going out and trying to continue to find business.
Sure. Yeah, I would expect nothing less from you, Beth, that's for sure. But I want to apologize again for being late to the party. I'm sorry about that.
No
But
problem.
thank you.
Beth, you said something that really kind of stuck out to me. And I think one, this primarily is a top producer call, and a lot of people on here do not struggle with certain things. But I think in this market is a significant opportunity to express your value to clients, especially on the listing side. When you have listing opportunities, Patrick mentioned the Redfins and the Rocket Real Estate and all of that. Like they're kind of crippled right now.
Right.
And it's the agents that have the big networks and the big referral bases and the way that they can market the client's listing for them. So that's one. Two, also with the client, what do you think the message is right now with them not really understanding the MLS and ins and outs? Like, what's the message to the client in this part?
The message to the client, and this is tricky because I have clients that understand and I have clients that don't. I've got a client where we were supposed to close Monday and his listing went down, and now we're in this mess with the MLS, and he's a little less patient. I have clients that completely understand and say, okay, we're going to, roll the best we can. And the message has to be positive. It has to be, I'm still doing everything that I would be doing anyway. I'm still reaching out. I'm still calling agents in the area that had looked at the property prior to. You've got, and you spin the new Facebook groups as a positive, like, wow, even though we don't have the MLS, you can't believe how many Facebook groups now that have popped up where everybody's sharing our listings. So you're getting even more social media presence than you would have with the MLS. I think you just have to spin it positively to the client. Like, yeah, are you getting the internet presence? Probably not as much because it's not syndicating, but social media world, all the agents that are doing any business and not taking their foot off the gas are on these sites. So again, they're continuing to grow their market.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I knew that I knew that you would have the answer to that. And especially, like, again, we've joked about this. We laugh about it. I remember Danny Barron saying that you were his teacher, but you did teach at Hondros, and you still teach the 10 agents that you work with today. So I knew that you would have thought through this already and have that message to clients. So
yeah, and I give a lot of credit to my old business partners, and I'll never forget when I started with them, there were 3 people on the team, when their expansion team, and they told me that they said, you can grow this as big as you want to grow it. And I'm like, and I had that doubt in my mind, that working with them for the 5 years, it really is true on the mindset that there's really nothing you can't do if you allow yourself to forget about the doubt. And
Right.
so they have a lot of credit to be given from where I'm at today.
Right. Great stuff, Beth. So I did want to say that I'm going to go to an every other week model here. And it just makes it easier on everybody on scheduling for the agents that come on. I'm excited because in 2 weeks, I'm going to have Scott Euler back on, not just to talk about his recent golf trip, but no, really to talk about our industry. And hopefully in 2 weeks, we've got some resolution to this, and we'll talk about maybe the policing that you said of getting back to some of the unwritten rules. Beth, thank you so much. I have enjoyed this. I want to ask you a million more questions, but be respectful of your time. So I thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Okay, everyone, thank you so much. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.